All right, welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. Today, we're gonna be out at the track doing a max velo session. The focus for today, get some good reps in. I'm also going to test out a couple different pairs of sprint spikes to figure out what spike I wanna wear as I'm doing my 40-yard dash test next week. So I'll be going through a few reps in each of those spikes and figure out what feels best, what I think is gonna be the best option for me. But before we get out to the track, I got a question on my last video about the deload and the taper that I thought was a great question, and I wanted to try to answer that for you guys today. But rather than trying to explain it, this is a question that is better for the whiteboard, so I can write it out and kind of show you how I would go through answering this person's questions when it comes to going from a deload into a new training week the following week after a deload. The question I got on the taper versus deload, and I was kind of explaining my process in going through a deload versus going through a taper, what the focus of each of those is going to be, when to implement them. You can see all that in the last video that I did. So the question I got is, when I deload on weights, let's say between 50 to 70%, I cannot jump back in the following week to 85%. Feels like I need another week before I can get there. So when you're going through a deload, and let's say you're at 85% on your last week. So I'm giving you guys some percentage ranges here. Week 1, we're at 70, 75. Week 2, we're at 75 to 80. Week 3, we're at 80 to 85. And then let's say week 4, which is gonna be the deload week, we're gonna get down to about 60 to 65%. So essentially what this person is asking or saying is they don't feel that they can go from 80 to 85%, back down to 60, 65%, right back into 80 to 85%. They feel like they need another week to get back there. And when you're going through your deload week, you're not trying to deload to get back to where you're here immediately. You're looking at progressing the entire block. So normally you're gonna put a deload at the end of a training block and allow you to recover from all of the fatigue that you've been accumulating over the course of these 3 weeks. So you're gonna get into a period of recovery, 60, 65%. Let's say you're doing about 70% of the total volume from any of these weeks. And then when you go into your next training block, all the movements could stay the same, whether you're changing movements, it doesn't matter. You're not looking at getting back to here. You're looking at making your progression from this point right here. So 60, 65%, let's say week 5, your first progression is not going to be trying to get back to 80 to 85%. You're trying to progress off of where you were at from the beginning of your previous training block, because this is going to be a new training block. So you're looking at maybe doing 72.5 to 77.5%. So this is gonna be week 5 right here. And then week 6, we have to make a larger gap here because I've kind of gotten in the way. You're looking at progressing off of this. So we're looking at being at 77.5 to 82.5. And these are small jumps, but this is just to give you an example on how you would do that. So there's your week 6 progression. And then you're looking at getting back to your peak week or your highest week of a training block. For me, I always do kind of a 3-weeking build and then a drop if I'm looking at doing strength training. There's different ways to program it, but we'll just use this example for now. So week 7 would be my next peak week. And what I'm trying to do is get to 82.5 to 87.5%. So that would be week 7. And then week 8, I'm going back down to, let's say, 60 to 65%. So maybe down to 70% because we're still gonna be below our week 1 numbers, which is usually kind of what I do as this progression goes up. And let's say week 1, we're at 72 to 75%. I might push this to 62 to 67% or so on the deload, but it's still got to be below your working weeks at some point. So your progression isn't trying to go from deload into whatever your heaviest week was prior to that. You're going from deload and then you're building heavier to get to a heavier point later on. So this would be like an 8-week progression of 70, 75, 75, 80, 80 to 85. So let's say 85 is your heaviest week. Deload, now we're at 72, 77, 77, 82, 82, 87. Now we've made the progression here. So we've gone from 70 to 72, 75 to 77, 80 to 82 for our low end. And you've gone from 75 to 85 to 77 to 87. So that progression now is we've gone heavier as a whole training cycle versus the previous whole training cycle. So that's a very long-winded way to just say you're not looking at going from deload back to your peak week. You're looking at going from deload to building to a higher peak week the next following 3 weeks. Deload again, and then maybe the week after that, you're back up to about 90% on week 3 of that final training block. That's how I would progress it, going from a deload into my next training block. Enough of the whiteboard stuff. Let's go ahead and get ready to go do some sprints out on track. All right, so majority of the warm-up is done. I have my sub-max fly-ins that I'm going to do, but the main focus of today is to get 2 to 3 solid reps on a flying 10. Probably gonna end up doing 3. Be around 95% plus. So my best over the last, 10 weeks, I think was a 0.94, which 95% of that would mean I need to be around a 0.98, 0.99. So as long as we're hitting those numbers today, we're gonna be hitting the intensity that we're looking for. The other thing is I'm going to be testing out some spikes. So I got 2 pairs of spikes here. I've got the Adidas Prime SP3s and I've got the Nike Max Fly 2s. So I'm going to be doing multiple reps and testing out the shoes and figuring out which one I'm going to be doing my 40-yard dash in next week when I do my final test. Now, when I did my pre-testing, I did them in the Adidas, which is making me lean more towards wanting to choose the Adidas just so I have less variables when I do my retest. Generally, if you're going through a test, you want to try to minimize the amount of variables from one test to another. And that could get all the way down to the equipment that you're using. So obviously you set the timing system up the exact same way both times. You want to try to run on the same surface. So obviously I have access to an indoor track, and if I were to have access to an indoor and an outdoor track, I wouldn't do like my pre-test on the indoor and then do my final test on the outdoor, because the elements are going to dictate the outcome of that a little bit. The surfaces might be different, so you never know. And then going all the way down to, like I said, like the equipment, like wearing the same shoes, but also running in the same lane. Like I always run in this second lane. Like I don't know if that actually matters, but it is just a variable that you can change up. So I try to keep those down to a minimum, but I do want to test out the shoes today and see what is going to be the most comfortable, and then what's going to give me what I feel is going to give me the best opportunity to lay down an absolute heater when we get into Monday and go our 40-yard dash. So I'm going to do my sub maxes, set the timing guys up, start getting some times on those, start increasing the intensity on those, and then when we get close to like that 0.98, 0.99, then we'll start timing those out, and we'll do a couple reps, switch out the shoes, and make a final decision on what spike we're going to be wearing for the 40-yard dash next week. All right, we're going to do sub max rep number 1. Try to get about 80 to 85% on this one. All right, rep number 2, we're just gonna try to up the effort, drop that 109 down somewhere to like a low 102, 101, 103, somewhere around there. Obviously didn't up the effort high enough on that one. All right, 3rd rep. We need to drop this down close to about a 2nd flat on this one. So I need to up the effort pretty substantially from the previous 2. There we go. That's more like it. So 103, that's closer to like 90% effort type stuff, which that rep felt hard. So we're gonna go ahead and count the next rep as rep number 1. We'll do the first rep in the Adidas. We'll do the second rep in the Nikes. We'll see how drastic there is, if there is any difference. And then I'll do a third rep using the pair of shoes that I think I'll do my 40-yard dash in on Monday next week. So 3 total reps today, swapping shoes out a little bit, figuring it out. I can definitely feel a difference in these already because I've been training in the max flies for the last month and a half. So it's gonna be interesting to go back and forth from like rep to rep to see what that difference is and see if anything specific stands out on that. So take a few minute break here and then we'll go ahead and send it for first working rep for the day. Slower than what I would like to be today. I feel like I'm putting out a pretty decent effort, but the time isn't reflecting that. We are going to switch shoes and see what kind of a difference that's going to make, if any. I'd like to get down to a 99, 98, which would give me the intended kind of effort that I'm looking for. A 102, 103 could be the fact that last week was just a heavier week of training, hit multiple 95 plus effort on some lifts, and the body's still just bouncing back from that. So it does usually take, let's say, a week period, 7 days, 10 days, when you hit something that's like 90, 95% plus, for you to really bounce back from something like that, which is the reason why the taper is built to be like 40 to 60% effort to allow that recovery to happen. So we'll switch it out. Man, I can tell you right now, the difference in feel on both of these is just extremely drastic. There's a much higher toe lift on the Max Fly versus the Adidas. A lot more cushion, obviously, because this has a Air Max unit in the forefoot. But we'll swap the shoes and we will see if the time changes for the better or for the worse. All right, so 102, 103, damn near identical times. The effort is there. I just don't think the legs got it today. So I'm gonna base my decision off of feel. And after running in the Adidas and then doing that last rep there in the Nikes feel better. They're more comfortable. I don't know if it's the Air Max unit or whatever it is, but it just feels more comfortable sprinting in it. So I'm gonna do one more rep in the Max Flies, try to send it again. I think, man, we can get anything like a 101 or a 1 flat. I think that would be amazing, but I think that the legs just don't have it in them today. So we'll take a couple minute rest, send it for one more rep. All right, well, last rep, best rep. All right, so today was the last intense piece that I had for the entire taper week. Tomorrow is kind of a floater day. If I want to go get a little bit of work done, I'm probably going to do a light upper body session, like body weight pull-ups, body weight dips, maybe some shoulder work, and then just be done. Saturday is going to be the last like final touch of just kind of moving something quickly. So we'll do some light front squats, and I think that's going to be it. We'll just do 2 to 3 sets of something around like 65%, do it for a couple fast singles, and then we're going to be done. Sunday is going to be a complete rest day, and then Monday, hopefully we wake up, we feel incredible, and we come out and we lay down a heater on the 40-yard dash, and then we'll do the broad jump that day as well. And then Monday's kind of a floater as well. If I'm feeling really good and I have the time, I might go do the power clean on Monday, but if not, then I'm gonna do the power clean on Tuesday. But we'll make that decision as the time comes. As for today, I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.